Hi, and welcome to On the Shelves at ACPL. Today we are going to be talking about the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. We are not sharing the original Sir Arthur Conan Doyle stories. We are sharing the more recent stories written, some authorized by his estate, others riffing off of the original stories and throwing in a twist. Today's going to be a little different than how I've done some of the other videos. I'm not going to be talking so much about the plot, but giving you an idea of what you could expect if you pick up these books. So let's get started. The first couple of books were authorized by the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle estate, and they continue on adding to the Holmes and Watson stories. So the first one is called The House of Silk. It is by Anthony Horowitz, and he has written a full novel of a case that Holmes and Watson may have taken on that deals with government and their connection with the seedy underbelly of both America and England. Our second book is also authorized by the Doyle estate. It is The Italian Secretary by Caleb Carr. In this story, Holmes, along with Holmes' brother Mycroft, go to Scotland to help the Queen, and they see some similarities to the death of the Italian secretary many years ago, and figure that someone is using history to come back and threaten the royalty. The next book is actually a collection of stories, much like most of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's stories were. It is called Sherlock Holmes and the Ghost of Bly and Other New Adventures of the Great Detective, and it is by Donald Thomas. As I said, this is similar to how Doyle's stories were. They were not all usually full-length novels, but short stories. So this continues on that tradition. And our final one in this group is Between the Thames and the Tiber, The Further Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Ted Riccardi. So he actually wrote one before this that is called The Oriental Casebook of Sherlock Holmes, but we didn't have that one, so this is the second one of the series. So we now have Sherlock Holmes and Watson having inherited some money and able to spend as much time as they want on the continent as well as in England. And so they solve several cases that do not happen just in England, but also in Rome and in other locations. Our next group of books take this idea of Sherlock and perhaps bring him into a slightly more modern time. This one is The Strange Return of Sherlock Holmes by Barry Grant. It is the first of a series of books about perhaps the reinvention of Sherlock Holmes. A man named James retires and gets a roommate, and he realizes that his roommate is solving crimes and seems very similar to a certain fictional detective. So if you're interested in seeing how that all works out, you can pick up the Barry Grant Sherlock Holmes books. The next is Son of Holmes by John Lescroart. He has written a book about the mythical son of Sherlock Holmes, who, of course, has many of the same characteristics and strengths and weaknesses of the great detective. This story is based in France during World War I, and as many of his books, has a lot of wonderful historical details. Our next book is A Study in Scarlet Women by Sherry Thomas. This is the first of her Lady Sherlock series. So imagine that Sherlock Holmes is actually the invention of a very smart and driven young lady named Charlotte Holmes, whose parents are not so great, not going to really support her. And so she decides that she wants to be a private investigator and use her mind for good things, and pretends that she has an invalid brother named Sherlock who is a great detective. But in fact, it is all Charlotte and her friends solving the mysteries. Our next book is Mycroft Homes by Kareem Abdul-Jabar and Anna Waterhouse. Yes, the former basketball player has teamed up with a screenwriter to write a series of books about Mycroft. The second one also involves Sherlock. They are really great period mysteries and talk a little bit more about Mycroft than the original stories did, give him his own backstory and motives. And if you'd like to read it in a slightly different format, we also have Mycroft Homes and the Apocalypse Handbook. It is a graphic novel. This is an adult graphic novel. Let me say that loud and clear before you pick this up for your child. This is definitely has adult themes and has a little bit of nudity when I looked through it. So this is definitely for adults, but it is a great way to read some great roaring mystery in the Holmesian fashion. Those are my picks for the adult books that further the mysteries and adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I hope you will enjoy reading some of them. As always, you can put them on hold by going to our catalog at alamancelibraries.org. Catalog is at the top of the page. Or you can call any of our branches and we'll be happy to put them on hold for you. Thanks for joining me on the shelves at ACPL, and I'll see you next time.